Welcome to the Music is My Life podcast from Berklee Online. I'm your host, Pat Healy, and take note of Sly Dunbar. If you have heard any reggae music in your entire life, then you have heard his drumming, or at the very least, his influence. As one half of the duo dubbed the Rhythm Twins, Sly says he's probably played on 1 million songs. The other half of the Rhythm Twins is bassist Robbie Shakespeare, and the pair put out nearly 50 albums together as Sly and Robbie, including Red Hills Road, which just hit the US earlier this month. They also practically invented dancehall, and if you don't know what dancehall reggae is, check out Murder, She Wrote by Chakademus and Pliers. Sly and Robbie played on that, and, well, it's pretty much the definition of dancehall. Sly and Robbie got their start as the rhythm section for Peter Tosh in 1976, and after touring with him for a number of years, started Taxi, where they would produce other artists and or act as their rhythm section, or rhythm section. Collaborators included reggae giants like Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff, Black Uhuru, Sugar Minott, Mighty Diamonds, Maxi Priest, Toots, basically any reggae act you can name, as well as non-reggae acts like the Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, Madonna, Grace Jones, Sinead O'Connor, Serge Gainsbourg, No Doubt, Britney Spears. Yeah, it is conceivable that Sly has played on 1 million recordings. But it all started for him in Jamaica, banging on the desk at school. And just a warning before we begin that this interview was recorded via telephone from Sly's place in Jamaica, so the fidelity does leave a little bit to be desired. But we have included a transcript on our site, online.berklee.edu/take note. Without further ado, let's get into Sly Dunbar's life in music. Take it away, Sly.
The first thing I heard, I realized that I wanted to be a musician, is a band in Jamaica called the Scatterlight. Lloyd Dave's a drummer, yeah.
And what was it that grabbed you about it?
But just the way he plays and the sound of his drums, and the attitude that he played, and the groove, it made me want to play drums there.
Did you, I think I heard a story about you started out with a set of food cans, is that right?
Yeah, I started out while going to school, and I was playing on the desk in school, and they started playing on cans, when I told my mom I didn't want to go back to school at the age of like 13.
And was she cool with that?
Yeah, she was cool with that, yeah. And then I started playing. I had a big tape recorder, and then I took off the cover, and my friend and I, Lloyd Parks, who was a singer, and then he used to sing for Studio One, and he would come around, and I would play tick, tick. So it sounded just like Rocksteady, and the tape, when I recorded it, sounded good like a drummer. Nobody knows it's not a real drum, And I started playing on that stuff until I got to a real drum. Started working out on it, asking questions, and started playing. But because I was listening, and I saw Lightning Sprints, I know what was hi-hat, and I know the tom-tom, I know everything, but I didn't really start playing on a drum kit yet.
So in your house growing up, was there music? I know you had 2 sisters, right?
Yeah, I had 2 sisters, yeah. I had music around me because my younger sister, which I'm the smallest, we had this telephone radio, and she used to go out and buy all these records like Otis Redding, Booker T and the MGs, Snyder Family Stone, some Motown album and all these things. So I grew up listening to a lot of Motown stuff, a lot of stack stuff, and all these music around,
And did you start by playing that sort of thing, or did you start pretty much playing in the kind of the Studio One sound?
I started playing, I listened to both of them because on the radio, you had a lot of Studio One. I used to go to a lot of parties when we were young, so the Studio One song was all over the place. And there was a friend of mine, he used to make amplifiers, right? And he would go up to Coxon, that Studio One, to buy the pre-release record that would come out on every Thursday, and he'd bring it back, and while he's building them, we were playing record and testing them. So we were listening to all these Studio One records like Real Rock and everything. And on the flip side, we listened to a lot of other songs that a lot of people don't know. These songs are like over 50 years old.
So yeah, what are some of those songs? I'm sure they're findable now on the internet, right?
Well, one of the songs I used to listen to was a song called Real Rock, when it was Sound Dimension, and there was a song by the Eptones. I think one of the first recording they did. I don't remember the name of it, and there was a couple other songs. I don't remember the name of them really, but we used to play them. But Real Rock definitely was one of the major songs. And that's why this is wicked,
And so then, did you ever have any lessons, or did you just kind of figured it out by watching other people? And
I didn't get any lessons. I watched people playing and I listened to the radio. And when I was playing in the second band, which is RHC Invincible, Anthony Collins, the keyboard player, when we were playing out for gigs like that, he would come and play like for the flow shows. Like flow shows are like, people from the ocean to come in and they have a group of people dance and on the limbos and all these things. And then I would go back and play for the dance group because I was so young, because I was like 14-year-old growing up, And he would play for the flow shows and I would come back and play for the dance people.
And then when did the Yard Brooms come about?
The Yard Brooms was just before going into RHC. The Yard Brooms was the band that I did my first gig. My friend and I called Barry Hawk, he lives in Canada now, and I did my first gig at a club called Teens and 20. A lot of people don't know that it exists. It doesn't exist today, but a lot of people don't know that there's a club on Walton Park we call Teens and 20.
Teens and 20?
Yeah.
That's a great name. Does that mean like teens and 20-year-olds were invited? Welcome there?
I don't know. I don't know what that's invited, but we played it, and then the first time I remember I played and get a round of applause was Red Red Wine, a version of Red Red Wine. And that was a very popular song in Jamaica.
Not the Neil Diamond version, but the first cover of it, right?
I think Neil Diamond was a popular one in Jamaica, and then someone covered it, and I think it was big in England, I think, the reggae version. But in Jamaica, it was a Neil Diamond one that was popular because a lot of people in Jamaica love soul recording and like that kind of music, so it was very popular. It's
funny you mentioned the name of the club, and what was the name of the club where you and Robbie first met?
All right, the club, myself and Robbie first met downtown by Randy's record store, North Parade. North Parade is somewhere where all musicians meet, and every independent producer would go there with a record. Where the country people would come into town to buy records for the jukebox or whatever. And we'd have a record under cover producing some record now, and we'd try to run to them after if they want a record, and then we go inside Randy's store. Someone would put it on the turntable for us and they listen to it, and they'll like, I want my side, give me 6 of that copy, and so we were standing. So everybody used to meet outside, so we standing out there and talking for a while, and Robbie was there talking, and then I told him I'm going by Channel 1, and so he said, okay, I'll give you a lift for Channel 1. I went to Channel 1, and then realized that I was playing at that club, and then he was playing at a club called Evil People. So, we stand outside and asked him about a couple of songs that I heard when he was playing with Overbrater, that was Bunny Lee label. And I think he's playing bass, and he said yes. And then Toto told him that to come up and check this drummer was in his Sly, because I knew Toto, the keyboard player that plays in Inner Circle now, very good, So they came up and checked me, and then I would go and listen to their band. And then he told Bunny Lee, that's Robbie, that he should call a session for himself with me, and we went down to Channel 1. I think the first song we played was a song called Too Good to Be Forgotten for John Holt. So we did that, and from then on, within session, I would call Robbie, he would come around Channel 1. I said, come around, because there's a lot of session running sometimes. I said, start coming by. And then I think the first song that Robbie played on the Channel 1, he played piano on a tune called MPLA, and he was playing guitar on a couple of tracks. And then Cotton Ranchi, the guitar player, who started playing bass because Live Part didn't turn up for the session, was playing bass. And then Ranchi played a couple of songs well on bass, and then he went back to guitar, and Robbie took up the bass. And then I went to tour. I was playing a lot of Dennis Brown songs, and then I went to tour on Dennis Brown in London. And then Robbie and Peter went to New York to discuss some deal with Rolling Stone Records. So Robbie, I told Peter about me, and then Robbie asked if I wanted to join him with Peter Tosh. And I said, no problem, because I wasn't playing in a steady band. People would just call me to play, and things like that. And then I say yes, and then that's where the whole lock-in started, because we have to work out how we're going to perform with Peter and everything like that. But the first album I did for Peter was Equal Right, but Peter wanted just one job only. I said, no problem, because my jump style and just started to take over Jamaica, and everybody wanted it, but Peter wanted one job. But when I went on stage live, I have to kind of change the pattern, because sometimes one job, if you don't have a good engineer, you don't get the power of it, That's playing straight from playing my style, so you could get some energy on stage. So he didn't say anything, and then we were free to just record what we want to play in a song for Peter.
The one drop was prevalent around that time, and then basically you and Robbie came up with the Rockers beat, right?
Yeah, we kind of, basically it was kind of there, but we kind of make it. It wasn't playing like how we were playing it, right? Because I think Straightforward was introduced to reggae by a drummer called Phil Calendar from Studio One, but nobody knew he was playing it, because in them times the drum was recorded real loud so you could hear distinctly what he was playing. So I heard it and I started playing it. So I started playing the rock thing and listening and creating that pattern. And because there was a fly cymbal thing going on, which was introduced to reggae by Lloyd Nibs. And then I played it in a song called Double Barrel, which was a million-selling record. I did that song before I was 15 years old. I don't know if you know about a record called Double Barrel. They went on to college. You know that record?
Oh, no, I don't know that one, but I was making a note to look it up.
Yeah, it was chosen first number one song. I think they've celebrated 50 years on it right now. And I played it in that song. And then I played it in another song called Aaron Baby by Al Brown. And then Bunny Lee took it over and he made it really, really popular in Jamaica by the drummer called Fanta. And then that was going on. So I figured more or less we have to change back now because when a sound gets too popular, then you know it's going to die soon. Every song sounds the same. And then I start playing about that rockers thing. And then I'm playing patterns from it. So this is where we kind of recreate the whole thing because the drum at that time, when I was playing patterns, they were playing random things inside the reggae, you know. So I heard a lot of them playing patterns in song, you know, like a song called Addis Ababa. So I realized it could work. So. And I was listening to a lot of R&B record and the drummer was playing a steady pattern. And when it comes to the bridge, sometimes they would change or something like that. I start introducing that to reggae, you know. Or in the chorus, you start playing other things in the chorus and then go back to the verse playing regular patterns. So I start doing that in reggae.
When you started playing with Robbie and doing all this stuff, when did you kind of realize that you had a connection unlike anybody else you've had a connection with before?
Well, yeah, because we were doing a lot of sessions in Jamaica and other musicians were playing in and out. Like when I was doing all the sessions with Joe Gibbs, it was myself and Light Park, who I started out with as a youth. He was the one who was to come by me, but I just leave school and he was playing guitar. So I was doing a lot of sessions with Joe Gibbs with Light Park.
Okay, but I guess what was it that made you and Robbie really click as far as playing together so well?
I think what made me and Robbie click when we started playing with Peter Tosh, we were sharing rooms together, so we were talking about just making reggae. You know, we were listening to Earth, Wind and Fire and all these groups, Stephen Wonder, all these played. You know, I would think of taking reggae to where we think it could go, and we talk about trying things, you know, and listening to like Brother Johnson, all these group and other people that's playing. And I think, how can we get reggae on that platform, with the energy, you know? I was thinking, we're going to do it. And then when we went on the tour, the Rolling Stone in 78, this is when we kind of discovered that we have to change and try and get some energy in reggae because the one drop was a bit light, you know, playing indoors, a big arena, big stadium, you know. And when we saw the other rock groups playing like Santana and some other groups that were playing on the show, we realized that, you know, we were sounding very light, you know, we need to get some stuff started. So when it came back to Jamaica now, we started experimenting with that open snare thing with Blackpool, and this is where it came alive.
Right. So, yeah, I'm thinking about that. That's an interesting point about realizing that it's not affecting the audience the same way that you want to. But then it's funny, I think about like a song like Stepping Razor. That seems like it's got enough energy to pulse through.
Well, all right, Stepping Razor was good, but you know, like in those days, if that was recorded at Channel 1, you probably had the drum a bit harder in it, you know. But when I was playing, like, you know, most people never take the drum really see the engineer would take the drum very serious. Drum was always in the background. But like Stepping Razor is a very good song because I was playing one drum and I was playing on a tom-tom, and when it came to Stepping Razor, I was playing, I kind of changed it a little bit, like, if you listen.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a roll that I made in Stepping Razor. Which Robbie came to me and said, play a role like that for me. And I said, okay, no problem, man. When he went to play, I tell me where you want to play it. And I played it. And, you know, oftentimes I listened to it. I said, wow, it's kind of cute, you know. A lot of people would ask me, how did he came back on the thing? Because you went over. I said, yeah, they only went over. But I was telling I kind of pause a little bit and can go back the beat, you know.
Yeah.
So, but Stepping Razor is really cool because if you listen, how I started and I had playing something like what I listened to the Motown record that they were playing the intro and the drummer would come in, you know, when the singer starts, you know, they play kind of temptation kind of thing, like, you know.
I like how you mentioned like throwing in a pause there, and that just feels such a perfect description of what you and Robbie have brought to music. You know, just throwing in a pause at the right place can change everything.
Because you went over a bit, you know, you went over. See, Robbie is someone who played perfect timing on the bass, so I couldn't do anything and go out and come back in and catch it back. He's not going to move. He's going to hold it for me to come back in, And I do the same for him. I would also hold steady and he could go out and do anything and come back and know he's coming back because I'm holding the beat for him. So if he's listening to me, then you know he's going to be all right. He could ease, put in an extra note and come right back on it. The same thing for me. I could make the roll and pause a little and catch it back on the next downbeat because I know he's there. He's not going to come with me. Sometimes you get a lot of bass players playing, they start doing things and then they start following you and then they start moving. I'll have to do this all steady for me because I'm coming back,
Mm-hmm. That's a good way of putting it. It's funny though, like I was listening to that version, the Peter Tosh version of Don't Look Back that you did.
Yeah.
And you listen to the full recording and everything seems so together. But then if you like isolate the bass, there are all these little pauses and little rests that you don't even notice if you're listening to everything all together. When you're making these decisions, was Peter Tosh weighing in on these things?
So that's the beauty of Peter Tosh now. After we did Equal Rights album, when we were doing record, he didn't say a word or tell her what to play. He didn't say anything. He just come play his guitar, sing the song, or if we are playing a groove and here and Robbie playing something with us falling and Barbara starts singing an idea down. He didn't tell us what to do or what to play. Maybe if you listen to all his Peter Tosh records, you could hear the different kind of groove, different kind of sound and different kind of elements that he put into his record. And if today, a couple of years, I was listening to some Peter Tosh records during the whole virus issue going on, and I said, wow, I didn't know I did things like that. And I listened to like Bush Doctor album and all these albums, Mystic Man album, and all these Wanted Dread and Alive. And I said, wow, he didn't really tell us what to play. And if you listen, his groove, Peter Tosh groove and reggae is kind of different from most artists and different from Bob, that we play for him. Because we didn't want him to sound like Bob in the music because we wanted to have a definite sound,
I remember there was an interview, I think, with Joe Higgs where he's talking about he wanted Peter, Bob, and Bunny to be like stars in their own right and just to have such an individual thing that they brought that when they...
Well, they did. They were stars in their own right.
Yeah. Yeah, when you think about that and somebody who does or doesn't weigh in, what type of situation do you enjoy working in better?
So it all depends on like the situation of the recording and who the artist is and how cool the artist is to work. Because like most of the time, because everybody wanted the sound that I was playing on the drum or the pattern, they would leave it up to me and Robbie to just set the groove for them, and then they wouldn't say anything much, I would ask them sometimes what they want me to do, and if they will do anything, Like even when we were doing the Bob Dylan record, I think in '84,
Infidels.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, nobody tell us what to play. Bob was so cool; he just started playing the guitar, the songs, and you find the tempo where everything what he was playing and lock into the groove that he was playing, and then just record. So that session was so cool. It was one of the coolest sessions I ever worked on.
What was the first thing you and Robbie produced?
The first thing we produced, I don't remember exactly. We produced a couple songs which was like trial song. It didn't really work out that good. I think the first album that came up, I think it was a double album called, I don't remember what we call the album. I'm going to record sometime. I don't remember what we call the album, but I came out and it was okay. And then I think everything happened, when we came up from the Peter Tosh store. I think we were doing some like Michael Rose record or something like that, yeah. And we started getting some free time at Channel 1 shoot. I mean, we did a couple of things. It didn't really work out big. When we came up from that tour from Rolling Stone, I think in '78, then we started, Channel 1 had just got a 16-track recording, and we knew exactly what we wanted and the sound that we wanted. And this is where we get into iGear, where we kind of like Baltimore and fencing an album for Black Core, and then it with the kick drum in the face and the snare drum, open snare. We were really going for the energy of the music, and this is where everything changed and started swinging with a different attitude, things showing like Art Made of Stone and all of these showing, and Wailing Soul Streets to go plum, and all of these things started happening because we found the sound. I said, this is what we're looking for all the time.
Well, I think the story goes that you and Robbie basically took the money that you earned from playing with Peter and started Taxi. Is that right?
Yeah, Taxi was there, but you came up with that tour money now, like when we were playing with Peter. So it was so small, so we used to save our money. So we came back to Jamaica, and we were looking at the future because, as musicians, you're doing a recording now, and sooner or later it's going to change that new musician, younger musician coming to the picture and people want to use other players. So we say we want to own ourselves and own our music. But we won't stop doing sessions. We play more sessions where we're going to record for ourselves. So we record for ourselves and started creating a sound that we control ourselves, which record we're going to put out with our sound on it. Because, sometimes you might record a song for a producer and you get someone else to come and re-record because they didn't like how we play it. So we want to have full control of ourselves as musicians, what we're going to put out. So this is when we start coming, when we came up to them, we take the money and start recording a lot to put our sound in the marketplace, to create a sound for ourselves instead of waiting on a producer to put out what he had played, I think it's what we went after, and I think we probably kind of get it right,
That must have been pretty much of a culture shock to go from playing the gigs you were playing to playing, opening for the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, it was really a shock because the first gig we played, I think we played at John F. Kennedy Stadium. I think that was in Philadelphia, 110,000 people. And Mick had also come out and kind of introduce Peter to the people because a lot of people didn't know who Peter was. So we had a problem there sometimes. So we're going out first instead, and these places were like packed, jam-packed. And it's when I realized the energy we were playing with was not going out there because they had a good engineer. And then, the way those things sort of in these big stadiums, like, you can't just go and touch the board or anything like that because these things are preset for the top groups, So we started learning a lot from there and learn how we're going to play attacking music, like when you go on stage. Although you might record a music live, but when you go on stage, you have to probably switch it a bit to make it really attacking for the audience now, Something you could play like how it was recorded, but you had to add something to kind of give it a grip in the live era.
And were you aware at the time? I mean, I was very young at that age in the 70s, and so I wasn't really aware of reggae till I got older, probably like in middle school or something. But were you aware at that time in the 70s of how much of a phenomenon it was becoming and how wildly popular, and all these other groups like the Stones and Paul McCartney's group were just integrating reggae into their sound? I mean, what was your thought from the inside?
Stones were into reggae before we even started playing with them because I think they came to Jamaica and they recorded an album. I don't remember what the name of the album, and they did a version of Cherry Baby. So they were into it from a good while. Keith Richards were into it. This is why they were glad to work with Peter and to sign Peter to the label, And Paul McCartney, all these people. To me, it was good for them to really get involved. That kind of helped the music to get where it is today,
Yeah, it was such an interesting time in music, though, where just what felt like to everybody else a brand new music, had been in existence on the island for so long. And was the general feel just like, oh, this is great, these people are spreading the word, or hey, they're taking our music? Or
a lot of people say they're taking our music, but I never think of that because even Johnny Nash came and he did a record called Hold Me Tight, and that was a big record, I felt good because, that's our bit. And Paul Simon came, Mother Share Reunion, and Blondie did Tidy Night. To us, I mean, we know it's reggae, so we felt good to know somebody is liking what we're doing and coming in and covering using our beat and everything, covering some of us.
So you get back from the tour and you start Taxi, and after learning so much on that tour, what were some of the first lessons you applied when starting Taxi?
First thing we did, like when we came back from tour, I think we recorded Baltimore, we recorded Jimmy Riley, Love and Devotion, and we did Unit Delgado, Merry-Go Round, Fort Augustus. We did a Tamlin song. We did a version of this song, Boom, 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 Boom. I think it was a Motown. I don't remember the name of it. I heard us cutting song. We did Channel 1 like for 1 week, for the middle of cutting song. In the idea of heard us cutting, we was cutting.
When did people start calling you Rhythm Twins?
I think Rhythm Twins name come from a guy at the records from Trevor. I don't know. Posters when they were it, put on top of it, Rhythm Twins. And I think this is where the name comes from.
Was it a name you embraced right from the start, or did you?
Yeah, we didn't. I didn't have a problem. We didn't have a problem with it. When it said Rhythm Twins, because actually, so from there, just build up,
It's interesting listening to music now in 2021, and you can see how many streams something has on Spotify. And do you even know what what track that you contributed to has the most streams?
No.
I think it's Cheerleader, and that has like 1 billion
Yeah,
streams.
I did. I did Cheerleader. Not the remix version. I did the original version. I played drums on it, and I had the writing credit. But yeah, Cheerleader was the good one. So, yeah.
Yeah, but so you got a writing credit on that, and there are a lot of songs you got a writing credit on, which is hard for a drummer to get, I'd imagine. Did you negotiate that from the get-go, or how?
No, I don't negotiate anything but they sometimes with a song and sometimes the drum pattern really is a part of a song. Because when I went into Cheerleader, what they were playing couldn't work, right? And it changed everything. So I kind of recreate the whole groove for the song. So, and the original version, there's no bass in it, It's just drums, it's a low-from drum, the 808. So they said, no, they're not going to put any bass in because it sounded good the way it is. And I said, okay, no problem. So I finally asked after I worked on it, and no, no bass is in it. And so sometimes they will give me credit because they figure I'm playing on the record and my name is on the record. It kind of helps the record to get a boost. Because sometimes people listen, Sly playing on the record, well, let's play it. So I can kind of get a jump start there. So sometimes they will give you some percentage. Sometimes we kind of add to the whole groove of the record because it sometimes depends on the drum pattern I'm playing. That will kind of help the record to get a boost because another drummer would have played ordinary, but I would go and try and add things to it, sound or something,
Yeah, do you even pay attention to royalty checks that come in, or is that just kind of a secondary income?
No, yeah, man, I pay attention to it. It comes in like PRS and all this. Yeah, man, royalty checks comes in.
Yeah.
It goes straight to the account, yeah.
Is Cheerleader the most popular one? I mean, I know...
Yeah, it's the biggest record, because I think it's the biggest record for me, I think, yeah.
Yeah, because I know, Murder, She Wrote is probably up there too, right?
Yeah, Murder, She Wrote is very big because it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It didn't go to one. It didn't go to one, but whenever you're in somewhere, I was in Africa and South Africa, and we were playing on stage, and we had this. It was called Murder. Murder Show is a song that it gets called everybody knows, and everybody start playing. And we just start playing the rhythm, and man, just the rhythm without anybody singing. I mean, people start moving like there's no tomorrow, So I would think that Murder Show is really underground is one of the never goes away.
Well, it's funny, too, because you were talking about how you wanted to create something kind of like a newer beat or a newer style playing because you were concerned it would go out of style. And then, you're celebrating the 50th anniversary of some of these songs and they don't go away, they aren't fading or being seen as a trend or anything.
Well, sometimes I try to honor what I learned as a trouble coming up. I learned to make a beat and to put accents and certain things. And a better show beat that's coming like from an old kind of beat, like we call Kumina kind of thing, kind of origin of Jamaican music. And I would listen to what was being played, and the old people would dance it. And I was kind of trying to make the pop cut kind of song was coming over to call it in the dancehall beat and everything. But I figured more or less where the whole beat was coming from. I was trying to research to see where it's coming from, so I knew where I can take it. So I remember one Christmas day I sat down and I got it from like 6 o'clock, and I had the drum machine. I was still going to program some beats, and I was finished until 12 o'clock. And then I saved everything and I start listening back, and that one came up, and my daughter said to me, "Daddy, that's I like that one." I said, "Really?" I said, "Okay." So I went down to the studio and kind of started recording it, and then a friend of mine called Gipsy, who was a part of the whole production team with us, he's come down. I did like a studio. We come there every day and he started playing. And first started as an instrumental, because I was playing. There was something on this playing, dum dum dum. Dun, 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 and then he started singing, and then I started song, and then the second part, and it's dum, 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 okay, let's take this dum, 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 running right through a track. That if Shakadim or our DJ wants to go ahead and they can have it, and we did that. And we didn't know it would be such a big hit, I was the engineer that recorded. I recorded it, and I voiced it, and I mixed it. Everybody's talking, how did I get it sound like that? But I had it sound in my head, which I couldn't explain to an engineer, but I had to turn the knobs myself. Because when I get there, I know I have it,
You did embrace the drum machine pretty early.
Yeah, because I look at the industry, right? And because drum machine was there for a long time, I realized that the industry is marketing these things. I mean, everybody was using it. It's not wrong. It's a part of equipment that people should use. So I say, then I met up with Bill as well, from who did Rocket for Urban Cup, And I was talking about the drum machine. And so about the same one that he used, one he used to play rock at DMX. I had a Roland 808 before, and I started really looking into it, and I really started, and the whole world started going crazy about drum machine because that was a good thing for people to do them, and then they would put the real drums on it. But then people started, and hip hop people were using a lot of it, so breakbeat and everything. So I brought it to make the music first. I didn't use it to play pattern. I just used it to do overdubs like cymbal and congos and certain like tambourine and certain things. And then I started using it, and making sweet and pattern. And I realized it's not a problem, But most drummers were fighting against it because it's going to take their work. So I said to them, if you had a drum machine, we get some more work. But they didn't have a drum machine, so no one would go to them. So they would come to me. Because sometimes a lot of people don't have the money to do a full-fledged session. So I could put on the beat for them, and they would go later, put on a bass player. Okay, but they wouldn't go to another drummer because nobody else was using the drum machine. The only other person was using the drum machine regularly. It was Cleveland Browning from Cleveland Steel. He was using it. And I know one at a time I asked about another drummer, that one, but I don't think he really went into that fully, because he realized what was happening in that one. But I don't think he really went into this. But I went into it because I know it's going to be a part of production in the future.
And then you incorporated them into your drum set too, right? With the synthetic drums.
No, I never used it live yet. I just used it on the record. I never used it live. I used to use like these things that Roland used to make that you could use with claps and the octopods. Getting out of somewhere playing octopods. And I had two sets of chin drums that I used to tour with, electronic chin drums. So I was into the whole electronic thing.
When you and Robbie were on David Letterman a number of years ago, I just saw a really cool set with like a few synth drums there.
Yeah, so we kind of embraced electronic, like we were trying to develop reggae more and more as the older people have worked with Scatterlight and all these other musicians have done. We were trying to take it to where I think it should go. So we think we needed sometimes to add this instrumentation to the music, And I think it worked very, very, very good. Like the first time I used a Simmons on a record, I played it in a Rolling Stones record called Too Much Blood. So it really works for the music because even today a lot of people call him and say, "That's Simmons song, boy, we love it in a class." Really? Because and I use it live. I used to travel with it live. I use it live on tour, and it's really wicked. It was wicked,
Tell me a little bit about, tell me about your role in the evolution of dancehall.
Well, our evolution in dancehall, because dancehall is the name of a place where the music was played originally. And we used to play a lot of dubs and everything for people. The people come to Jamaica and they play dubs and they play record and they mix it to dub and everything like that. And the beat kind of changed. Like I used to play things like that on the dub, but I never call it dancehall and everything like that. And so when it came in and people started, jumping into the like, and I said, wow, this thing could be developed to something good. So Cleveland and Steele was there playing and Danny Brown was playing dancehall pattern. I said, well, I have to make mine kind of different. So I listened to some African stuff and realized that it incorporate some beats like dancehall. So wow, and then I realized the Kumina thing was coming from Africa and it came to Jamaica. So I said, wow. So I started listening to it carefully. I said, okay, a lot of things could be added to this thing. So when I was making Murder She Wrote Down, I didn't want the real, just acoustic drum sound. I wanted like the hand drum sound. So I told this guy I knew he was working at security. His mother had something at a church. They use that kind of drum. So I said, bring the drums. So we call it poker drum. And give me a sample down. So I sample off the kick and a sample off the snare. Because I wanted authentic hand drum sound. I didn't want the regular snare drum sound. So I did it when I was cutting Murder Show to make it. It really worked. Everybody asked, this sound sound different. So I started listening to a lot of coming out, so I started developing, and I started listening to a lot of using a lot of percussion, like Latin percussion. Inside, it was the same thing they were playing, but a lot of people were not listening. And then in the early days, in Philadelphia, there was a song called "We're All in This Thing Together." We're going to work, and it was playing the same beat, like what we call dancehall. And there was some stuff coming out like "One of a Kind Love Affair" with it, and I was listening to David Ruffin sing "Walk Away from Love," and I said, "Wow, almost the same beat." And this was a beat that was running the club for the club circuit for a while. Tina Charles, everybody was using the tom-tom beat. I said, "Wow." So I go back and start looking at that, and I said, "That was the same thing." So I said, I can work with that, and I started using a lot of percussion and doing all of these things. And till I got my someone with a drum machine and sampling certain things and start using it. And sometimes I would just make the drum part, the dancehall part of my message, using so like guitar samples that I would get from London when I go there all the time. Some kind of rave sound, and that's how my development part of it come. And then I did. The Murder Short is the biggest song, my song still, and I start just making it different and adding things to it and adding different kind of beats that I think can work.
Yeah. When did you realize you were basically starting a whole new branch of reggae, basically?
Well, and I realized it was the sound that I was using because I used to go to England a lot, and I used to flip and I used to go into the store and buy those sample CDs. And when I was making Maxi Police record, I just want to be close to you, which I did produce myself, Jeffrey Chung and Andrew Chung. And when the song was changing to that kind of dirty sound, I think that's the first time I think kind of used that dirty kick on the record was when I did Maxi Police, I just want to be close to you. And when I started experimenting with the sound, and I heard the thing change, and then Soul to Soul was happening at the moment, and it was soul music being like a rubber dub kind of stuff, very empty, and just, the drum in your face and bass and drum just rocking and everything. So I said, wow. A lot of people say, they're doing kind of reggae kind of thing, and this is Sly sound, and I said, really? So I start looking into it, and I start using their ideas, putting in my ideas, and start developing them more and more as I go along,
What I found was interesting is you mentioned Latin rhythms being part of it, and I never really picked up on that before, but as soon as you say it, it's like, okay, so that's how come reggaeton is what it is because there's the affinity because of the Latin rhythms.
Yeah, because when reggaeton really came into it, when I used the Murder Short, because it's what they play in the same beat. And I used to use that a lot and put percussion into it and these things like that. Because there's a song called, the Beanie Man called Foundation. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And you listen to percussion in it, and you listen to a version of Mission Impossible, and you could hear that little bongos playing in it. So I think that's where it comes. And listening to my Mother Short was so big because even when it came out, the people was going to go down by Panama. Just like this song is big, massive down there. People just dancing to the rhythm, just the rhythm alone. And this is where, because they don't even use a lot of percussion inside of the Latin people in it. They just use a bit. But I go for the percussion because once you get the percussion groove, and then the rhythm is lost, you don't need a lot of instrumentation in it no more, But it was good when it started reggaeton because they still keep the reggae in it,
You've influenced so many drummers. Who are drummers that you admire who have taken your style and gone someplace with it?
I admire a lot of drummers, really. I admire like Elijah from the Scandal, right? Joe Isaac used to play for Soul Brothers, Phil Calendar, Mikey Boo, Carlton Barnes from Bob Marley, Earl Young from Philadelphia International, Al Jackson. And the list goes on, the Motown drummers and all these people, and Steve Gadd. All of these great drummers will really put so much into the music, and all these bands. You have some great Ohio players and all these people. And George Clinton groove. That's the way they play, the way they groove. I learned so much things from them how to be a disciplined drummer and just not playing for myself and anything like that, So when I started on the recording, I started playing with discipline. Don't roll when you have to roll. But sometimes you could do the one that you just get mad and make a lot of rolls, because the thing is slide. People are going to hear it and people are going to love it. So, but they tell me to play. Let's play the drums, beat it.
Well, it's you mentioned George Clinton, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask: is that story true that you got your nickname because of your fondness for Sly Stone?
Yeah. I was playing. I used to play a lot of, because I really think Sly and Family Stone were one of the special group to me. I mean, the way they deliver the songs and the groove and everything was so special. So I used to play a lot of Sly and Family Stone because I played in this band called Volcanoes when I was playing in the country. And the leader was there. For every day, it was Sly. It was play Sly. Yeah, it's a good group, I said, every day it was Sly. So, and look at me, I said, I can call it Sly, So he just looked at me and said, Sly. Everything I do is Sly. Come here. I said, okay. So when we finished, when the hotel was went into receivership, so we played 3 months, so I came back to town. So the rest of the band, like myself, it was Butcher, was Ranchi, Harold Brown, and Jimmy, bass player. Everybody would say Sly, Sly. So the name was stuck in everybody say Sly, which I think the name Sly kind of made me be who I am today, than my real name, because Sly is a funky name. It's my real name is Lowell. It's too dainty. You don't hold any it don't hold any action, just there. But when it's Sly, it sounds like an action name, just say Sly, that's attacking immediately, So.
Did you ever get to play with the man himself?
No, but I still install work he's done, and I think he's great, Right, songs are written like Family Affair and all these groove and sing a simple song. I mean, listen to these records. You wonder how they put these records together. Like today, it's still marvel me to see. Even I listen to Motown and stuff, and you wonder with so many people playing, how did they get everybody to play this and they groove and everybody so play their parts and not overdoing anything. And I said, wow, man, this is. And today when I listen to records, they still marvel me when I listen to these records. I sit and listen to them for hours, even downstairs. It's when I get that kind of listening to records from, listen to Philadelphia, listen to Motown, Snyder Family, all these groups, and listen intensively what they were doing, and so wow, it was great. And the groove, when you listen to the groove, it's sometimes you want to scream,
I'd imagine. Well, when you first hooked up with Peter, didn't the Wailers have a tour with them that didn't go so well?
I don't know, I don't know, but when I look up to Peter started, and this is in 1976, I think, we started with Peter. I don't know if there's that tour that didn't go to it. I don't know.
Right. I just remember a story about the being my age. I used to hear these stories and just wonder about them, and then they'd probably get fantastical in my imagination. But the story was that the Wailers were so good as the opening band for Sly in '73 that they got kicked off the tour.
Yeah. That story, I heard that story. Yeah, I heard something like that. But I don't know what truth is. I heard it. I don't know.
Let's talk a little bit about Red Hills Road. So I really enjoy the tracks that I've heard, and you talk about taking, or not taking, but just borrowing, or I mean, it's part of cultures to borrow other cultures, and something like Linstead Market. It sounds almost like Irish folk music parts.
Yeah, well, what we're doing, Linstead Market, right? There's a market in Jamaica there. There's some Carmen Hockey Girls, Linstead Market, now that's what it was, So I made this record, one called Carnation Market. It's a big market. So I was just sitting there looking at the women who were going to the field and digging up and working and plowing the field and going back home with the basket and they had to cook dinner and everything. I said, how can we make a song for these women? They're in the field most of the time. I was picturing this woman. So we did Carnation Market. So I said, how can we run a Linstead Market? But that's it. Linstead Market, I felt this Kumena kind of feel. So I started with the drum machine, started playing some patterns and putting in some percussion beats and everything. And I said, it would sound kind of cool. I'm playing some kind of rhythm that would come from Kumena inside of it. And then I asked Speckle, the percussionist and percussion, to come and do some extra drums on it for me. The sound I was looking for, and he plays it very good. So in the beginning, we kind of woke up the percussion things to give it a groove, because I said I like percussion, and I listen to a lot of these Motown records, and sometimes they'll make long introduction and groove a song. And in reggae, they're just 4-bar instrument songs. Okay, I enjoy that still, but this stuff is enough of that. We have to take the things, go out much more, over the things the most. I said, let's groove it, and then it's there for a while, and you don't know what's gonna happen. And it hits you. You say, oh yeah, man, That was Speck was playing on some of the anthems, and I used the drum machine to play some of these percussion parts. Because in these days, there was a percussionist called Sticky Tom. He's dead now. Could ask Stick to play all these parts, but for me to explain to some of the percussionists to play it, I would have to try and start speak out a good one and to get it the way I was thinking of it. So I use a machine and program it myself and play it. I don't follow from Bill as well. I program the machine myself and I play some things live on top of it.
Coming up with the songs for Red Hills Road, like what comes first, rhythm or melody?
Well, sometimes out there, sitting down in front of the machine, because I run a small studio, so I use a machine, and I was thinking of just making some beats. I can sit there and, so I will make some programs. And I was thinking of dancehall still. How can we improve dancehall and take it to another level? So making all this stuff, and I kind of like the kind of stuff like Arabian kind of stuff. I just like some weird sounds sometimes to put into reggae, because I was looking at the thing of, developing dancehall music with some new sounds instead of using the same sound everybody was using. So I'll play this dancehall because you can take fast dancehall, slow dancehall. There's a lot of dancehall on different phases. I wasn't making an album before. I was just making all these beats, making all the sound, and I realized that, we could just put an album on, because some of these songs would probably never be heard if we put them on that single. So I said, okay, let's put all of these together and see what comes out from it. And okay. So I put everything together and listen carefully to see what matches and did some little bit more overdubs and everything. And okay, it sounded all right. And then we're looking at just putting out an album, because instrumental album, because a lot of people don't believe in instrument, but a lot of people like it still, you know. Let's put it out there. I mean, Sly and Robbie people know their music, so we're not singers. So I want to get the beat tough enough for them. I think they will enjoy the record. So that's what they went for.
Are you planning to tour at all?
Well, normally when we tour, sometimes we used to tour by ourselves, and but sometimes we tour with Michael Rose from Black Hole, because that sound, people still love that sound and they live. When they go to play Michael Rose live, it's awesome, you know. It's take it beyond the record, and see that people go crazy sometimes. So, but we don't know how soon this virus thing is going to be over, because everybody is speculating, everybody wants to go back out, but I don't know if we're going to have it under control. I was looking, say we want to go on tour until maybe 2022 to 2023, when I think it's probably all that now. What we're doing now, we're still just making a lot of records, so I think is the key. And we call a lot of people at home listening to records, and that's all we have to do. So we have a lot of ideas be put down to work and to come with our next album fast enough for our next showcase or something on a double album or something like that. So we're trying to get everything out. But by the time we touring, come back in again, we have enough music, you know, to go out and sell, you know.
I think I saw you you played on the Sinead O'Connor tour in 2005, right?
Yeah. We produced the album and we played on it. That was a nice tour, and the selection of songs to choose was really good, you know.
It was really something special, just because I didn't expect that from her, you know, and she really delivered. Talking about singers like Sinead or Peter and Bob Dylan, or any of the hundreds of thousands of people you've played with, how much does the singer influence the way you play?
Well, okay, like the singer, when you listen to that song that we're going to do, the original song or cover song, kind of listen to them and say, how can we do this song now? Can we do it in the original version? Or we try and put our trademark stamp on it a bit, or take it a little bit out, you know. And we always listen to the song, because the song is going to determine the kind of jump pattern I'm going to play for the song. If we're going to play a straight, simple pattern, I might have to play something kind of just different, you know. So I'm trying to match the song, and then Robbie's in the same thing with the bass. So once we got the bass and the drums so tight as a standalone unit, then we know we're okay, we're in. So this is what they really want to get, the bass and drums. Once we get that in there, then we know we're cool, good to go. So we always listen to the song very carefully, and I listen to the line that Robbie's playing. I probably listen to the drum pattern. I'm trying to work out any track, fit the line around the drum pattern. I will take out anything that is not too lock in with the bass, make it simpler to lock it on. That is locked in, we say we're good to go, and just record.
I heard it said that you believe you've played on 1 million recordings. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's amazing.
Even the person who took me to the studio, Answer Collins, to play my first recording at age 14, right? That's the same guy with the double barrel. It was 1 million syllable. I played it before I was even 15 years old. That's the song I played on the David Answer Collins, right? And when we went to cut the session the night, I told him, say, this is 1 million seller. And they laughed at me, and I said, we're talking about Sly. It's 1 million seller because we worked on the record for a week. Every night after rehearsal, we would stay myself, Answer Collins, and I would stay there and work on the records. Yeah, like an hour to get it right. And then it's like 5 days work on it, and then we cut it on the Monday morning. You know? I told them it's 1 million seller, and they laughed at me, you know. So I think even when he called me every other day we speak either by WhatsApp or by telephone, and he said, I think you played on I think you're the most recording musician in the world. And I said, I think you've played on over 1 million records, because I'm still recording every day still.
Sly Dunbar, still recording every day. Check out Red Hills Road, available everywhere now. And hey, if you want to record every day and you could use a little guidance, try a Berklee Online course. And if you want to save $100 off your first course, visit musicismylifepod.com. You'll find all the info you need right there. This episode was edited by Talia Smith, mastered by Jose David Vindesmora. All visual assets coordinated by Mike DeBenedictis. Social media by Brooke Larson. Web assistance courtesy of Mark Thomas, Steve Zimmerman, and Joe McDonough. Thanks to our video team who post these episodes on YouTube 2 weeks after they premiere on podcast services. I wrote and recorded the Music Is My Life theme song, but the expert remixing comes courtesy of Lily Dickinson. Special thanks to Gabriel Reifer Cohen, Ashley Pointer, who helped with the transcript that's on our site, Special thanks to Guillaume Bougard, Clint Weiler, Laurent Gooden, Wondernack, and thanks to you for listening. Take note to join us on Monday, June 14th for another guy known for his drumming and producing, Butch Vig. Stay inspired, listeners. Talk to you soon.